Chairman, and I thank you for having the foresight to actually call for this. We looked at the GSA, and now we're exposing this. Mr. Fink, how long have you been at the IRS?
32 years, sir.
And I would suspect that through that time you've been to some conferences along the way?
Yes, sir.
How would you compare this conference to past experiences?
It is certainly in my career with the Internal Revenue Service, it is one of the largest that I've ever attended, but it was not uncommon in the service in past years that I've been there that you would have large gatherings of this, of your leadership team, bringing all your managers together in a function.
What did you personally get when you went to that conference? What did you personally receive?
For the Anaheim conference, sir?
Yes.
The bag that was shown is what I got. Of course, has already been mentioned. I paid the government rate and stayed in a suite, paid the $135 for the suite, but I got the bag, and there was a notebook inside the bag. And also, I believe I received it's an attachment to your lanyards that you wear for identification purposes, that it's a spring-loaded type lanyard.
What, anything else? Any other perks or benefits? Food?
Oh, there was, I believe, if you look at the record that, and I believe it's in the Inspector General's report, there was 25 baskets of fruit that were in each of the two primary hotels.
And how big was your room? You ever stay in a room like that?
Yes, I have, sir.
When was that?
I've paid for a room like that personally, sir. And also, I would mention to you that in another conference, sir, where there was, we had reserved most of the hotel as a very, very large conference. I was given a suite, not quite that large, but it was a suite. Yes.
When and where was that?
That was in the one that I have the most recent recall of in memory was in Chicago, sir.
When was that?
I believe it was actually in, I would be speculating, but I believe it was in 2009.
So because of your rise in rank and because of you, did you believe you were entitled to this?
No, sir.
Why did you get it then?
My understanding is it was part of what was negotiated with the hotel as part of the arrangement for us taking a significant number of the rooms in the hotel for the conference, sir.
When did you think this was wrong?
The conference in general?
Yeah.
No, I don't think the conference. I think now that we should have been paying closer watch to our expenditures and the expenses. I don't think the conference itself was wrong because of the time that we were in at the Internal Revenue Service. 30% of our managers in small business were brand new. We were going through a very difficult time and trying to get our leaders to recognize.
So when did you think that something was wrong here? Did you ever think something was wrong here?
As far as the
what do you think is wrong about this picture?
I think now that in retrospect and looking back that you take a look at the expenses, we should have been more diligent in our responsibility to the American taxpayer and to the American public.
And you're in charge of this group, right?
At this time I am, yes.
And you were the number 2 at the time of the conference?
Yes, sir.
When did it strike you that this was wrong?
I said.
When you got called to testify before Congress?
No, sir.
Well, when?
As I said, I do not think that the conference itself, the premise that it was based upon, was wrong because of the needs of our employees at that time. I do not think that the conference
When did you
was wrong.
become aware of the massive expense?
I actually did not become aware of the massive expense until much later. I did not know what the expense was at the time of the conference that we were paying. I did not know what those expenses were.
And you're the number 2 person in that division.
Yeah, and as I mentioned,
you're oblivious to the expenses. You're totally ignorant of the expenses.
I was not involved in the planning.
Who
or
was?
The execution. But they put together a planning team. that
Yeah, we've all watched The Office. We know what the party planning committee is.
they put together a
But
team.
who specifically authorized this, and when did you realize that it was wrong?
If you look at the Inspector General's report,
No, I want to know from you.
the commission,
You're in charge. This is what's so infuriating. You're in charge. You have a public trust. You're paid by the American taxpayer to be responsible, to be respectful, to have knowledge, to have oversight. And yet, you can't even tell me when you thought this was wrong. In fact, you're saying that, well, it was a pretty good conference.
The gentleman's time has expired, but I would like to hear an answer to the question. Mr. Kuntz, anyone that wants to respond to the gentleman.
Well, I would say the documents we saw that authorized the conference, actually Mr. Fink signed requesting it for Mr. Wagner, the commissioner, and then it was authorized by the two deputy commissioners. This was in April of 2010.
So, I'm sorry, clarify that for me. Mr. Fink actually signed off on this?
On the request for approval by the two deputy commissioners that he had signed for Mr. Wagner, I believe, in April of 2010, for estimated $4.3 million conference at that point in time.
And so when did you realize that this was wrong? You signed the authorization before it happened.
I'd ask the gentleman to have an additional 2 minutes for this specific and limited line of questioning, please.
Point of personal privilege, Mr. Chairman. I do not watch The Office, so I don't know who the collective we is, but it's not me.
Thank you.
That will be noted for the record.
I appreciate the chairman. Mr. Kutz is saying you personally signed the documents with the dollars on it before the conference. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I initialed the routing slip that went to.
What does that mean to you?
What that means?
Does that mean do you have any responsibility for that?
I attended the briefing that was done for the two deputy commissioners.
Did that include the cost of the conference?
If I remember correctly, the briefing that was done for the two deputy commissioners, yes, that included a discussion of the.
And that raised no warning flags. There was no bells that went off in your mind, and you didn't think that that was wrong.
At that time, because of what we were experiencing at the service.
What was that
What they
experience?
needs. We were experiencing a whole new taxpayer base that we were interacting
You testified that when you thought it was wrong is when you became aware of the expense. But we just heard from Mr. Kutz, you signed off on a routing slip. You participated in meetings, understanding the cost before the conference happened. Are you here just claiming no responsibility at this point?
Absolutely not. That's why I am here.
Right. The gentleman's time has expired, but Mr. Fink.